All right, let's dive into something truly mind-blowing. We're going to explore this incredible idea that your brain isn't some static, fixed thing. Instead, it's a living record, constantly being rewritten by the story of your life.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think your brain is basically set in stone once you become an adult? For the longest time, science pretty much said, yep, it is. But what if I told you that was completely wrong? What if every single thing you do, feel, and learn is physically changing your brain's wiring every single day?
For decades, yeah, the dominant idea was that after your childhood, your brain's architecture was more or less locked in. But that's the old idea. Modern science, thanks to some really incredible technology, has shown us a much more exciting truth. Your brain is constantly reorganizing itself. It's adapting and changing based on your experiences, from the day you're born to the day you die.
To really get a handle on just how profound these changes are, let's start with something we've all felt: stress. And I don't just mean, a tough day at work. I'm talking about that chronic, grinding kind of pressure that goes on for months or even years. That stuff leaves a mark, a literal, physical echo in your brain. So, what is chronic stress, really, on a brain level? Well, think of your body's emergency alarm system. It's supposed to go off, deal with a threat, and then shut down. But with chronic stress, it's like that alarm gets stuck in the on position, just blaring 24/7. And this floods your brain with hormones, especially one called cortisol. Now, a little bit is helpful, but when it's constantly high, it actually starts to become toxic to your brain cells.
And the effect of that toxicity? It can be absolutely staggering. In cases of severe, long-term chronic stress, scientists have seen a potential reduction of up to 14% in the size of the hippocampus. That's the crucial part of your brain for memory and learning. Just shrinking.
And this is a perfect breakdown of the three-pronged attack that stress wages on the brain. Your hippocampus shrinks, making it harder to form new memories. Your prefrontal cortex, that's your CEO in charge of decision-making and self-control, it gets weaker. And here's the kicker. At the exact same time, your amygdala, the brain's threat detector, actually gets bigger and more overactive. The result? You end up with a brain that's literally rewired to be anxious and on high alert.
But, and this is so important, it is not a life sentence. This is where the brain's amazing flexibility comes into play. These changes can often be reversed. Things like exercise, therapy, or even simple mindfulness practices can help rebuild that lost volume in the hippocampus and rebalance the whole system. Your brain has this incredible capacity to heal itself.
Okay, so we've seen the dark side. Now let's flip the script completely and look at one of the most powerful, positive experiences a person can have: falling in love. Because this isn't just a feeling, It's a massive neurological event that builds a whole new kind of architecture inside your head.
When you fall for someone, your brain gets drenched in this potent chemical cocktail. You get a huge surge of dopamine, the molecule of reward and motivation. That's why love can feel so all-consuming, almost like an addiction. And then you get this wash of oxytocin and vasopressin, which are all about creating deep feelings of bonding, trust, and connection.
And check this out, it's the beautiful opposite of the stressed brain. Look, when people simply see a photo of their partner, the reward circuits in their brain just light up like a pinball machine. And at the same time, the amygdala, that same fear center that grows under stress, it actually goes quiet. Love creates this measurable biological signature of safety and reward.
So the big takeaway here is that this is not just some fleeting chemical rush. It is a fundamental reorganization of your brain's operating system. Your attention, your memory, your motivation systems, they all get rewired to prioritize this one person. Your entire neural landscape is literally redrawn with them at the center.
Okay, so we've seen stress shrink parts of the brain and love completely rewire it. But what about when we actively choose to challenge ourselves? What happens when we decide to learn something new and really difficult? Well, it turns out our brains can physically grow.
This is one of my all-time favorite examples. To become a cabbie in London, you have to pass this legendarily difficult test called the Knowledge. It means memorizing a maze of 25,000 streets. And scientists studying them found that the back part of their hippocampus, the specific area for spatial memory, is significantly larger than in the average person. They literally built a bigger brain region just through the act of learning.
So how does that even work? Well, it's a pretty clear process. First, you introduce your brain to new experiences. This forces it to reorganize its pathways, making some connections stronger and even building brand new ones.
And over time, this builds up something called cognitive reserve. You can think of it like a backup power supply for your brain, making it more resilient to aging.
So let's bring this all together. From the damage of chronic stress, to the powerful devotion of love, to the focused discipline of learning, we're seeing the same pattern again and again. Your brain is a dynamic, living record of your personal history.
There's a scientific name for this incredible superpower, and it's neuroplasticity. That's all it means, the brain's fundamental ability to change itself, to forge new pathways, and to adapt to everything you throw at it, for your entire life. It is the biological engine that writes the story of you.
So the ultimate takeaway here is that your brain isn't just something you inherit from your parents. It is a physical, measurable, and constantly changing archive of your unique life. Every major joy, every big stressor, every hard-won lesson. It's all written right into its very structure.
And that leaves us with one last, really powerful question. Knowing this, knowing that your actions and experiences are literally sculpting your brain every moment, that gives you a kind of power, doesn't it? So if your brain truly is the story of your life, what are you going to write in the next chapter?